Hi, this is Dave Bartozowitz with Have You Experienced Jesus? You know, I'm down here again in Salt Lake City. This is really where I do most of my shows. It's a great place to be. But I wanted to talk about something I believe is really important. I thought about this concept that I'm going to be sharing with you. And it's a concept that I think is important for LDS as well as Christians who are watching this to understand what I'm about to say. You know, let's talk about the beginning of how in the views of Mormonism, how the Book of Mormon came into effect. You know, we know that what the Book of Mormon teaches, and this is the Book of Mormon right here. It's not very big, but you can see it's right here. And I'll talk and show you a little bit more about this in just a couple minutes. But we know that the actual concept of the beliefs in the Book of Mormon, they had prophets, and in the prophets what they did, they would write on different plates. Some wrote on small plates, some wrote on large plates, and some wrote on brass plates, and they would write their experiences in the Americas. They were people who actually came from Israel and then went on a boat, a family, and then they came across the Americas somewhere. We're not really sure where they're located. When I was a missionary down in Mexico, I'll never forget that the Book of Mormon lands, I lived in the southern part of Mexico in the Yucatan, and there would be many Mormons who would actually go down there and have tour guides, Mormon tour guides, who would actually teach them that the area where I was in the more of the southern part of Mexico, Central America region, was where the Book of Mormon lands were. Well, the LDS churches never specifically came and said where the Book of Mormon lands were or are, because they have really no archaeological evidence to prove that. So we're still at a standstill, but now we're hearing people that it's over in the Baja region, and there are some people who also believe it's in the Midland of the United States. So it's kind of confusing. My thing about all this is, if you have a living prophet, which you believe in, why doesn't the living prophet just ask Jesus? Supposedly he meets with them and just ask, hey, where are these people? Where were the Book of Mormon people? And Jesus should know, right? He should know where they're located. But anyway, the reason why I'm explaining this is because the key thing that I really thought about, which is important for you to think about, is you have these people who are prophets who lived in the Americas somewhere, and they wrote on these brass plates, they wrote on these small plates, they wrote, and they talked about their experience with the people, with the culture, with their views on God and so forth to the people. So they wrote as prophets. And then you had a prophet near the end who was actually Mormon, right? And Mormon was one of the prophets who, in his position, he actually, what did he do? Well, he decided to abridge all these plates, condense them, because there are a lot of plates, and he condensed them and abridged them, and he made them into gold plates, actually, before they weren't gold. So the Lamanites were quite upset with him because he made them into gold, and I guess they wanted to have these gold plates, and so he kept running and running and running away. But he carried these heavy plates. These plates were pretty heavy. As a matter of fact, let me show you. This is a picture of Moroni, which is a son of Mormon, and you can see actually the plates are pretty big and they were abridged. This is the view of the LDS faith, that they were gold and they were thick, and obviously what happened, Mormon abridged them and made them condensed. So Moroni also, he was one of the last prophets of the Book of Mormon. He wrote also on them, and so he buried them, and supposedly Mormon and also and Moroni, they were pretty close to New York because they buried them in the stone box, right? And then a number of years later, it was revealed by Moroni, I guess again, that he appeared to Joseph, and Joseph then was told exactly where the plates were supposed to be located. Joseph found them, but they were really, really, really heavy, right? And they were very large. And he said that he actually had to use them to translate. Now, we see in this picture right here that many people who are Mormon believe that Joseph Smith translated these golden plates that you saw that were really thick, and you're probably seeing them right now, by you see a light, or if you wanted to take a look, that he translated them with Oliver Cowdery, and there he was translating them like this. So what happened was, this is the understanding that many Mormons had for many years, many years, that Joseph Smith actually translated them like this. Well, I gotta tell you, you have the LDS Church just recently come out, just in the past 2 months, and they came out and they said, we want to show you the way that Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon, these golden plates. Now, for anybody who knows about the Book of Mormon, it was supposedly written in Reformed Egyptian. Now, Reformed Egyptian is a language that no one has ever heard of, no one knows about, but it's a language that Joseph Smith said that the plates were actually written in. Well, the problem with that is basically this, is that Joseph Smith didn't really use the plates to translate from. He used a seer stone, and you're seeing a seer stone right now. And what he used in that seer stone was actually, he put it in a hat, and he covered his face in a hat to be able to get the translation of the golden plates that were not even near him. Okay, they were not even near him, but he used the stone to be able to translate the golden plates to this book right here that they believe, the Book of Mormon, right? So my question to everyone is this. You have now Mormon who put a lot of hours, I mean years, abridging these plates of all the other past prophets. And you have Moroni putting all this effort into putting his handwriting, what he did on the plates, and they were gold, and they put it in a stone box, and the weight of it, and the amount of years that it took to create this. What the heck? Why didn't Joseph Smith translate from the actual golden plates? How could it be, and Joseph Smith claims that it's the most true, most correct book out of any other book? How could it be the most correct and most true out of any other book if he's getting it from a peepstone, looking at it inside? Does that make any sense to you? How could it be done? I don't know how it's possible, because he didn't go word for word to actually see it. How does he know that what the stone says is absolutely the exact wording on the plates? How? To me, it seemed like there would be tremendous errors all around. And there were errors. And so what we're finding here, we're having issues with this. So my question to you, is this really the correct way to translate something? Going from a seer stone, a stone that you put in your hat? Or would there be a better translation method that you actually translate it because you know that language and you know exactly word for word what the sentences are, and you translate it into English? And that's exactly how translators usually work. So I see an issue. I see a problem with these two forms of translations. I don't know about you, but I see that. And I feel bad. Now, I don't believe, obviously, this story. If I did, I wouldn't be here. But I feel bad that Mormons believe that that stone that they represent, you hear Jesus that, upon this rock, and that's Jesus Christ, upon this rock I will build my church. With LDS, they need to understand that Joseph Smith built the gospel upon the Seer Stone. That's kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of strange to think that he built the gospel upon that rock. That's where he translated it from. Now, to understand how it was done, there's still a lot of ideas out there how he came up with this. I mean, obviously he used 16 chapters from Isaiah. He included a lot of Christian understanding that he created as well with this. I mean, if you look at Lucy Mack Smith and in the biographies of Lucy Mack Smith, you'll find that his father came up with Lehi's dream. He actually shared that with Joseph Smith when he was a young boy, Lucy Mack Smith also talked about the plan of salvation before Joseph Smith came up with the plan of salvation. So we see a lot of these issues that maybe were the elements. Another thing that Lucy Mack Smith said, it was that Joseph Smith was a very creative, imaginary type of person at a very young age, and that he would, with the family, come up with all these types of ideas of cultures, Indian names, and so forth when he was 12, 13 years old. So we know that there was a premise, there was a connection, a relationship between his young age and when he came up with the Book of Mormon. I think it's very interesting. I hope these ideas have helped you to think about how Joseph Smith came up with this. I feel bad that a lot of people believe that the translation came from really the Book of Mormon with Joseph Smith studying it over a light, but not really understanding that it came through the peep stone. I feel bad, but that's the fact now. We have the LDS Church coming out and stating that. I think it's odd. I don't know about you. I think it's really kind of different and odd. Okay, now one of the things I want to talk about is, I do have LDS watching this, and this is for you. This is a question that's going to be posed to you. When you were LDS and when you were in primary and when we were taught how Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon, was it really done through a Seer Stone, or were you actually taught that it was done through light and Joseph Smith was translating over the golden plates with Oliver Cowdery, who was there, and he was writing what Joseph Smith was saying? It's going to be interesting to see the difference, and we're going to go right to the streets now and ask that same question to LDS people and see what the responses are going to be. Thanks a lot for watching. Well, in front of me I have Jonathan. I heard that he actually goes to the LDS Business College, and you're from Scotland, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right, great. You're LDS?
Yes.
Okay, and you went on a mission?
Yes, I did.
Where'd you go on a mission?
Spain.
Oh, yo puedo hablar español, entonces.
Perfecto.
Perfecto, ok. Pero mi español es diferente que España.
Me imagino,
the idioma, yeah. It's muy diferente. Anyway, we're going back to we're going to English. You're LDS, and so the question of the week that we have is, why, from your understanding, how did Joseph Smith translate the Book of Mormon?
Well, in the church we believe that Joseph Smith was a prophet, like in ancient times, and in the same way that the prophets were given specific gifts by the power of the Holy Ghost, that he was also given the gift of translation and able to translate the Book of Mormon from the language that it was in into English.
Yeah, it was called I believe it was called the Reformed Egyptian, right? Language.
Yeah.
And then he was able to translate it. So how did he do it? How, in your understanding, how he translated the golden plates?
And in what sense?
Into English.
Well, he was given that power by God in order to read what he was, like he read the plates, and then he translated it in, what's the word I'm looking for? He dictated it to various people who then wrote down what the words that he said as he read along with it.
So that's what you were taught, that he did it that way, right? Well, the LDS Church just came out recently and stated that there was a stone that he used, and he used, my understanding, like majority of his translation was through that stone in a hat. Did you hear about that? They just came out with it.
Yeah, I've heard some things about it. Well, I know that he did use, if you read in the Doctrine and Covenants, it talks about him using the Urim and Thummim.
Yeah.
Now, the exact physical appearance of how that looked, I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, I wasn't there, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But that's how my understanding is, that it was that he used stones that were called the Urim and Thummim, and that's what he used to.
But the majority of people who were the scribes, like Emma Smith and Peter Whitmore and Martin Harris and Oliver Cowdery, Sidney Rigdon, they all said that majority of times he was using the hat and the Seer Stone, and the plates were actually off to the side or even in another room. And so that was the majority of how he translated that. Does that make you feel differently about the translation process of the Book of Mormon and the golden plates?
Well, no, because after having read the Book of Mormon and prayed about it sincerely, I feel like I've received a testimony of it. And so after having received that testimony and kind of learned more about the teachings in the Book of Mormon and how it can benefit my life, there are some things that come out. There's things that come out all the time, kind of anti-Mormon things.
Well, this is
that
not
come out all the time.
anti-Mormon. The
No, for
LDS
sure.
Church is revealing this now.
No, for sure. But so for me personally, because of the testimony that I have of the Book of Mormon and what it teaches, it's not really, it wouldn't really damage at all my testimony of it or of Joseph Smith as a prophet.
So it didn't bother you that much when you saw the LDS Church coming out and this is how we translate it? Okay. All right. Thanks. You know, one of the things I do love about being here, I see beautiful people here. And Megan is a beautiful person from Idaho Falls, right? All right. And you're about 22, 23?
25.
25. Okay. So Megan's more of a young person, so we're going to get her idea of this. How, in your understanding, when you were brought up, what were you taught how the Book of Mormon was translated by Joseph Smith? How was it done?
Through the power of God and faith.
Okay.
Especially,
Well, how about the specifics? I mean, I understand that, but the specifics are, what did he use, and what was he actually doing to translate?
if you're looking like for tools, you know, like he received the golden plates and he had a special tool called the Urim and Thummim.
Okay.
But honestly, especially like with the LDS Church, I think a lot of people are concerned with the fact that this ordinary man received revelation from God, especially because that hasn't happened for a long time.
Yeah.
So it really was through the power of God. He was chosen and he had to study, he had to work hard at it, and using those tools, but mostly through faith and the power
And so,
of God.
were you brought up to believe that it was done with Oliver Cowdery, Emma Smith being the actual scribes, and they were the ones who would write the things that Joseph would say, right?
Yeah,
was
there
it
were
through?
multiple people who acted
Yeah,
as
you're
scribes.
right. You're right. Martin Harris, and I think there's Whitmer and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that when you were understanding this translation process, that it was done through like the picture has many times of Joseph using the golden plates, and then Oliver Cowdery there and being the scribe while he was translating it? Is that what you saw when you were young? Pictures of that?
Oh yeah, sure. There's pictures.
Yeah.
But
And
I
that-
mean, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And now the LDS Church just came out about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, that most of the translation was done through a seer stone that was put in a hat. People are saying 90-95% of what actually Joseph Smith translated was from that seer stone. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, that's the Urim and Thummim.
Well, it's a
what you're
seer stone. The
talking
Urim
about.
Thumb is a little different device.
Yeah.
It's like it has crystals and some glasses and on a breastplate. That was a
Yeah.
different tool. But most of the translation was done by a seer stone. And did you see the brown seer stone at all? I don't know. The LDS had it up for, they have it in the historical museum. They show it and everything else. And so they're coming out and saying now that's really how it was done. So does that bother you now that you didn't know all that when you were younger?
No.
You still
mean-
trust in it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because they have mentioned seer stones for like other things,
Yeah.
but no, it's just a detail.
Not,
to
you
me.
don't care about the detail as much?
No.
Okay. Just as long as it works.
Yeah, what came out of it? That's what
All right, in
matters.
front of me, I have newlyweds. As a matter of fact, you are Jesse.
Yes, I
Jacob?
have. Jenko.
Jenko, okay. And Melissa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jenko. They just got married about 6 months ago. They were doing baptisms for the dead, I guess, right? Just
Yes.
for coming out of the temple. So these are LDS people. They're faithful LDS people, obviously. And so we want to ask you the question. How, in your understanding, how was the Book of Mormon translated?
The Book of Mormon was translated by the gift and power of God through a prophet, the prophet Joseph Smith.
Okay.
He's known as the prophet of the restoration because he restored the
So
gospel.
how did he do it actually, though? I understand the gift and power. So how was it actually done in your understanding? Was it done with, him reading from the golden plates, or was it done another way?
It was done both. They had a instrument given from God called the Urim and Thummim from the angel Moroni, which was prepared for the purpose of translating the plates. And he would take this Urim and Thummim, and it was like spectacles, so it was kind of like a pair of glasses, and the words would appear as he would read the Reformed Egyptian characters on the plates. Now, another way he did this when he didn't have the Urim and Thummim was by a Seer Stone. I'm sure you've seen it on the news.
Yeah,
It's a
as a matter of
chocolate-colored
fact,
stone.
the LDS Church just came out with that about 2 months ago. We actually found out, do you know what the percentage of the translation that was done Do you know how high it was with the translation of Joseph Smith using the Urim Thumb compared to the Seer Stone?
Well, I suspect that the Urim and Thummim was used more so with the Book of Lehi, or the 116 pages of that manuscript, which was lost.
Yeah, we don't have that, so I guess we can't
Right.
even talk about that, right?
Yeah, no, we can't even talk about that. So I'd say that most of the Book of Mormon was translated using the Seer Stone. Joseph Smith would, the story goes, the accounts read that he would put the stone into a hat, and he would put his face in the hat. Sounds crazy, I know, but the stone would light up and reveal the words of the translation to him. I guess this was done mostly when he was abroad, but
When he was a rod?
when he was abroad, when he
abroad.
was out and
When he
about,
was out,
and
he would use
not
it.
at his main
Now,
place.
the question I have, which is really fascinating,
Uh-huh.
the plates weighed a lot, right? The
About
plates were heavy.
59 pounds.
Well, I think we don't really know.
Yeah.
Because it was supposedly taken from an angel, right? And so you don't really have there's some just beliefs in that.
Mm-hmm.
But it looked like gold weighed a lot more. It could have weighed 80 to 100 pounds. I've heard even more than that. But the reality is that it took a long time to make these plates, years and years and years. And Mormon abridged them, right?
Correct.
And so he probably put years and years of abridging the plates. Does it bother you if you use the Seer Stone, right, in a hat and didn't use the plates to translate? How do you know that the words were exactly correct?
Well,
and why do you trust in that?
I trust in that because I have a witness of the Holy Ghost, and I've prayed about it, and I've done my studies. And as well, the Bible also talks about the gift of seership and using instruments to do those kind of translations. We learn that in the book of Leviticus, chapter 8, verse 8. We learn that in the New
What
Testament.
did they use?
The priests of the Old Testament used something called Urim and Thummim, which in Hebrew translates to lights and perfections. And lights and perfections can also mean revelation from the Lord.
But were they just more words that they had to find out something with the Urim and Thummim? Was it really detailed, like translation sentences? Yeah, because I'm aware of that. But my understanding is that the Urim and Thummim would be like yes and no. If you have like a question, it just might answer something here and
The
there. It
Urim
doesn't
and
give
Thummim
an
do-
actual sentence by sentence by sentence by sentence understanding. Is that correct? Is that what you know too?
Joseph Smith said something really interesting when he brought home the plates and Urim and Thummim to his mom. He said, "I'm almost disappointed with the plates." He said, "Why?" And then basically with the Urim and Thummim, he said, "I can see anything in the Urim and Thummim." So he doesn't just give him words and sentences. He can actually see like visions of things through the Urim and Thummim.
Yeah.
And
What other examples did he see? Like, did he ever talk about? I heard that there were some other prophets that were able to see through the Hill Cumorah, see all the plates that were there and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Was that what Joseph Smith was referring to, or Brigham Young? I can't remember exactly.
some of them are referring to that. Joseph Smith also, once I remember reading something from one of his teachings or another book or another, where Joseph Smith managed to see the creation of the world using the Urim and Thummim and through divine revelation.
Is that like a second sort of sight, or do you think he actually saw it, or more of just like a dream that he was able to see a vision in that sense?
Well, visions are really cool because they have a wide variety of range of being involved in vision. Some visions are more engrossed, and then there's like lesser visions where you kind of see it in the back of your mind and you know what's happening, but you're still kind of like aware of your surroundings completely.
Yeah.
So like I'm thinking that he had to have had, he often says he doesn't know whether he was in or out of the body, because some visions are very, very poignant and definite, and other visions are more, well, I see something, but I'm still in my body. I'm not transfigured.
Yeah, and I think that's happened to the witnesses too, as well, right? That they didn't really see the golden plates. It
Oh,
was
actually,
more
the
spiritual
like-
light, spiritual.
Are you talking about like the three witnesses?
Yeah, 3 witnesses.
Oh no, they actually did see the plates, and they saw the angel, and he spoke to them personally.
My understanding is that they didn't see the actual plates. They were in their spiritual eyes. They said. That
Oh
they saw.
no, the angel actually brought down the plates, and he showed them, and they turned the leaves
We
of
might have to check out on that because I heard differently. But
Yeah.
it's up to you guys to check too as well. But anyway, I have to go right here. But I appreciate your astute understanding of that, and God bless you guys. Hi, in front of me is Mike. He's from Las Vegas, a great guy. As a matter of fact, Jones, different than Bartosowitz, but hey, he's LDS and he's just visiting Temple Square right now. And I wanted to ask you the question, as a young person who you were in the LDS faith, how did you believe that the Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon?
The way that I was taught, the way that I believe, he actually had the plates, and at times he would actually look at the plates and translate them. Other times he would use a couple of what we call, or most people call, Seer Stones. We call them the Urim and Thummim, that, as I understand from my reading, were sort of almost like eyeglasses.
Yeah.
And then at other times he had a stone, another Seer Stone that he would use to translate the writings on the plate.
Okay. And I think the LDS Church just recently came out and showed the Seer Stone, and a lot of LDS people for the first time, I think it was in the in the vault for hundreds of years that they just showed it. When you saw that yourself, looking at that stone, it was just like a egg-shaped stone to be put in a hat. And then we find out that actually the majority of the translation of the Book of Mormon was done through this stone. Did that follow through? Did that make sense to you that the majority of it would be done? Because I think a lot of people ask the question, well, why would he have the plates if he used just the stone and the hat? And so that was somewhat of a question that people have. Did that bother you at all when you found that out?
No, because I had known that before. I had never seen, I had never seen a picture of the stone or anything, I had sort of an idea in my mind of what it might look like.
Yeah, you probably remember the picture of Joseph Smith with the light and Oliver Cowdery, and he was translating from the golden plates. Yeah. So did you feel like you were somewhat, deceived in some ways because that wasn't how it was really truly represented?
No, I didn't feel deceived. Like I said, that was the way I learned about the translation from my earliest recollection of learning about it. So I was surprised that they I guess displayed it or showed it or whatever like that. Yeah. Just because it's one of those artifacts or relics that you think, I wonder where that is. And then all of a sudden, boom, there it is. And
why no other prophets are using it too? Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
Yeah. But so no, it wasn't. I wasn't deceived or didn't make me rethink or anything like that. It was like, oh, okay, that's the stone that he used.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah.